Good morning. I've had a very chill morning. I'm filming this on a Sunday, so I usually like to sleep in and relax with the dogs and make a nice little breakfast. My strawberry overnight oats recipe, which you saw me make earlier, is honestly, I think, one of my favorite breakfast recipes that I've ever made, and I especially love making it in the spring when strawberries are in season, because I think the fresh berries are just a little bit sweeter and more fragrant than the frozen ones. And they also make the strawberry milk a really pretty color. It is spring, but as you can probably see from my window, we're still in the April showers part of the April showers bring May flowers. It's very dark and rainy today, but honestly, I don't mind too much. I kind of like the cozy weather. I'd also like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Thrive Market. I have been using Thrive Market for years, and they're by far my favorite grocery store because they're all online and it makes ordering groceries so hassle-free and easy for me. I actually live over 20 minutes from the closest grocery store, so it's really nice that I can just order everything online and have it delivered straight to my door without having to leave my house. And I also really appreciate how strict Thrive Market is with their quality standards and how easy it is for me to find things for my diet. They have a ton of different filters like vegan, gluten-free, organic, women-owned businesses that you can use to search through their products in addition to the search bar. So I think it makes it really easy to find your favorite products and also find new products as well. So I'm gonna show you what I got in my latest order. If you watched my last video with Thrive Market, I got some new protein chips, and Dylan absolutely loves them. So we bought several bags of those. These are the chips we tried last time, but we also got some onion. These are protein puffs, I think. So yeah, we've got a few of these. We've actually already opened this box because Dylan couldn't wait for me to film this video, but he loves them. They're great for a little afternoon snack, and they're a little more filling than like a standard chip. Speaking of protein, I also got a restock of my favorite protein powder. I really like this Orgain brand. I find it pretty affordable and it's not super sweet or gritty at all, which are two deal breakers for me with plant-based protein. I got their vanilla flavor, which I actually used this morning in my strawberry overnight oats. I'm almost done that tub though, so this came at the perfect time. I also got some of these Siete Foods lime tortilla chips. Lime tortilla chips are definitely my favorite flavor of tortilla chip, even more than plain. I love tangy foods, so I think the lime paired with the tortilla, I mean, it's a very classic combo, and I just think it adds a little extra something. Okay, this is the last treat. I got some dark chocolate peanut butter cups. I really like this brand. I think most of their stuff is vegan, so I like shopping their variety of products, and I love that they're on Thrive Market. Then I got a few kitchen staples for us that we were running out of. We love this Thrive Market Za'atar spice blend. We use this all the time. Traditionally, it's used more like on bread or mixed with olive oil, but we also just love using this as like a seasoning mix for our tofu and roasted veggies as well. It's the perfect blend of herbs and sesame seeds, and there's a little salt in it, but not too much, which I really appreciate. I also stocked up on more Dijon mustard because I love Dijon mustard. I use this in a lot of salad dressings. And then I got 2 grains. Let me move this box. First up, I got some farro. I feel like farro, I don't know. Either way, I feel like this is kind of underrated. It's not gluten-free, so not everyone can have this, but personally, I really like it if you do eat gluten because it's higher in protein than rice or another grain. Just a 1/4 of a cup dry has 5 grams of protein, so I love using this in salads or with dinners when I want a little extra fiber and protein in my carby side as well. And then last but certainly not least, I got some quinoa. We also love using quinoa. This is a great gluten-free option that's also really high in fiber. Oh, and wait, a 1/4 of a cup of this has 6 grams of protein. So you know what? Maybe this is a better alternative than farro. I don't know. The farro is like a little hardier and chewier, where this is more light and fluffy. So I like using them for different things. But honestly, I love cooking quinoa because you only need to cook it for 1 minute in a pressure cooker. So it cooks very, very fast. Sometimes I forget to cook a grain with dinner. So it's nice to just have this on hand to pop in the Instant Pot and be like, oh look, we have quinoa, and it only took like a minute to make. So this is everything I got for my Thrive Market order. I love ordering different things every time. I get a lot of my pantry staples from Thrive Market, and they have this really easy buy again button on their site, so it makes it even easier to find your favorite and just click a quick button when you need to reorder them again. If you want to try Thrive Market out, I have a special deal for you. You can go to thrivemarket.com/shoemaker and get 30% off of your first order plus a free gift. And this is on top of the savings that you'll already find across Thrive Market on a variety of products. So click the link below to check it out. I'm gonna put this stuff away, and it's actually about time to start making lunch. So I guess we'll do that. I love a good salad, and I especially love making them for lunch in the spring and summer, but I do tend to gravitate more towards bean and grain salads just because I find that they're more filling and they're great for meal prep and will last a while in the fridge. They almost get better in the fridge after they've had a few days to marinate. So today for lunch, I'm going to be making my Southwest black bean and quinoa salad. I love to make this when the weather's warm out, and even when it's not warm out, I like making it because it reminds me that it's gonna get warm soon. So the first thing to do in this recipe is to cook the quinoa. On the blog, I have stovetop instructions, but today I'm going to be cooking it in my Instant Pot because it's a little faster, which slightly modifies the instructions, but not too much. You're still going to use a cup of quinoa. I'm going to quickly rinse this in the sink. Rinsing your quinoa can help remove the sometimes bitter flavor that it has. For this recipe, I like to put a lot of the spices in the quinoa because it will mingle with the other ingredients later on, but I think it makes the quinoa taste a little better and more interesting. So we have half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a fourth of a teaspoon of ground cumin, and half of a teaspoon of salt. If you're making this on the stove top, you want to use about 1 3/4 cup of water and then cook your quinoa according to the package instructions, but the Instant Pot uses a smaller liquid ratio, so we're just adding 1 cup of water. Honestly, I don't even mix it, I just give it a few shakes. Then I'm going to cook this in the Instant Pot. It only cooks for 1 minute of pressure time, which is nice and fast. Now, while that's cooking, we can go ahead and prep the rest of our ingredients. I've already gone ahead and rinsed my black beans. I'm actually adding an extra can of black beans to stretch the salad out a little bit more, but the original recipe calls for 1 can. But you know, I always like to say recipes are open for interpretation. You can sort of make them your own, add extra things, take things away. For our veggies for this, we're going to be tossing our beans with some corn, some tomatoes, which I'm going to cut in half, some bell pepper, jalapeno, and a little bit of red onion, plus some cilantro. I would say I like medium spicy food, but if you don't like spicy food, I still recommend using the jalapeno, but my tip for you would be to make sure you remove all of the seeds, the white center portion of the pepper where it's like more of the membrane part like this. I'm gonna remove it anyways because I don't want this to be too spicy today, but this is where most of the heat is, and if you just keep the edges of the pepper, it shouldn't be too spicy. I like to really finely dice both the jalapeno and the red onion into tiny pieces because I think they're better in a salad when you just get a tiny bit of them rather than a really big chunk. I went ahead and diced the onion and pepper as well. I like the cherry tomatoes to be in a little bit bigger pieces, so I'm just gonna cut them in half. If you wanted them to be smaller though, you could quarter them. And if you don't have cherry tomatoes, you could use literally any tomato. I would probably just dice it at that point though, if it was a bigger tomato. Also, while I was chopping the peppers, the quinoa already finished cooking. So I'm just letting the pressure sort of naturally release in the Instant Pot for a bit before I open it up. I'm just gonna put these back in the bowl. The last thing we need to chop for this recipe is the fresh cilantro, but I wanna have enough space on my cutting board to show you how to make the dressing, so we're gonna do that first. Whenever I have a tiny glass jar, I love saving them because they're the perfect vessel to make a small amount of dressing in, and it's a lot easier to just shake the jar than whisk it up. We're going to need 1/4 cup of olive oil, or you could use avocado oil as well. And then you want between 2 and 3 tablespoons of lime juice. Usually that's about 2 limes for me, but it will depend how big or small or juicy your limes are. These are on the bigger side, and I'm just gonna guesstimate today, but I think I'm just gonna use 1½ limes. We're also going to add half of a teaspoon of salt. And then you need 1 teaspoon of liquid sweetener. I generally prefer to use agave. I thought I had some, but I guess I ran out. So we're just gonna use maple syrup. It's only a teaspoon, so you don't really get the maple flavor in the dressing, which I think is a good thing. It just adds a little bit of sweetness and helps balance out some of the acidity from the limes. So that's it for the dressing. It's very simple. So I'm just gonna seal my jar up and give it a nice shake. And as you can see, it emulsifies in the jar a lot faster than if you were whisking it. Now I'm just going to chop my cilantro, and I have my corn over there just draining a bit. It was completely frozen, but I just like to rinse it with hot water quickly and then let it drain so it's not too soggy when we put it in the salad. Everything is prepped and it's time to assemble. Before I add the quinoa to the bowl, I am actually just going to fluff it around a bit with a spoon first. I find this helps separate the grains a little more. And my quinoa is still pretty hot. If you want to, you could wait for it to completely cool. You could just put it in the fridge after you mix everything together too, and it should be okay. I'm also gonna cool it off some by adding in my, I don't know if you guys heard that, but our dogs love rice, so they heard me take something out of the Instant Pot that they thought was for them, and they're hoping to get a few rice scraps. Unfortunately, it says garlic powder in it. So you guys aren't getting anything today. Back to what I was saying. I'm going to add the black beans that I drained. And then I also have my frozen corn that I brought down to room temperature. I'm gonna add these first and mix them with the quinoa. And this is actually going to help cool it off even more because they're pretty cold or at room temperature. So it'll help bring everything to room temperature before I add the cilantro, which is honestly the only thing that I think is kind of at risk of wilting a bit. I'm thinking I maybe needed a bigger bowl. It's gotta be very close, but I think we can make it work. Got our tomatoes. The recipe that I wrote down actually calls for red bell pepper, but I wanted to use an orange today because I had it in my fridge and I thought it would add a nice extra pop of color. Then we've got our jalapeno, the red onion, and last but not least, we've got our cilantro. Our dressing has separated again, but that's totally okay. We can just give it a quick shake and then pour it over the salad. Now we're just going to mix this until everything is nice and evenly distributed. I love the salad because it's nice and filling and has a great mix of colorful veggies, and you got protein and fiber and some healthy fats from the dressing. So I think this makes a great lunch as it is. As you can see, I've made quite a lot, so hopefully we'll have leftovers. I do like a little crunchy snack with this, so I'm going to serve this with the lime tortilla chips that I just got in my Thrive Market order. But also if you were trying to make like a really, really high protein meal, you could serve this as like a base and then serve a protein on top. So you could season some tofu or tempeh or use like a faux vegan chicken, and that on top of the beans and the quinoa, you'll get a super, super protein packed meal. Today I'm just going for well balanced. So I'm just gonna scoop some of this into my tomato bowl so I don't have to dirty another dish. Let's do a taste test. It's very good. My jalapeno is definitely one of the rogue ones that are a little spicier than the regular ones, but I didn't put any seeds in, so it's still not too bad. I really like the variety of different crunchy and softer veggies like the corn, and then the beans are kind of creamy. And all in all, it's just a very satisfying salad, and I love how colorful it is too. You got almost every color in the rainbow, except for blue, I think, which isn't really a common veggie anyways. Dylan and I spent the afternoon doing a little bit of cleaning, and we started watching Invincible. Dylan's already seen it, but he wanted to rewatch it and I haven't seen it yet, so we just watched the first episode. And now I have to do all the dishes that I haven't done yet today. I also just made some of my favorite peppermint tea, so I'm gonna have this as a little afternoon pick-me-up. I honestly mostly drink herbal tea because I drink coffee and I don't like to have too much caffeine. I do try to buy loose leaf tea because I just think it's a little better for the environment because you don't have the tea bags, and I think sometimes you can get better flavors. I love Rishi tea. I get most of my herbal tea from them. This is their Mystic Mint, so it's mint and it also has I think some cardamom and like maybe a slight licorice flavor, which I personally love. It's like a good blend of herbs. The main one is mint though, and it's really yummy. I made some for Dylan too. Sometimes I drink it black, but I also like it with just a tiny splash of soy milk. Kind of makes it like slightly creamy, but not too much. I love it. We go through like a pound of this at least in a year. That's definitely our favorite one. So I'm going to sip on this and clean the kitchen a bit, and then I'm going to get started on dinner. For dinner, I'm going to make my spring vegetables with roasted tofu. It's a really easy sheet pan dinner. And the tofu takes the longest because you can marinate it for a while, so it has a better flavor. So we're going to get started on that. I already pressed some tofu. I got this going while I was washing the dishes, so I'm just going to take it out of my tofu press. For this recipe, I like to cut it into triangles. So the first thing I do is just cut the tofu block in half. And then from there, we cut each half into fourths, so you'll get these rectangles, and then I just cut each rectangle in half to form the triangles. I prefer to use extra firm tofu for this recipe because when you roast it in the oven, the outside is crispy, but the inside is still a little bit soft and tender. But if you want something that's a little, I guess, chewier, you could also use super firm tofu and you wouldn't need to press that one. So I guess the theme of today's recipes are also my recipes that I'm slightly changing. So I want to slightly switch up the tofu marinade. Originally it was a lemon garlic, but there's already going to be some garlic on the roasted veggies. So I thought it would be a great time to use some of the za'atar that we got from Thrive Market. So I have this little container here. I'm just going to use this to marinate my tofu and make it nice and easy to shake up. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the base of my container. And I'm also gonna add about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm starting with half a lemon. We'll see where that gets me. Then I want my tofu to be nice and herby, so I'm going to add a teaspoon of the za'atar. I'm also going to add some black pepper. And then last but not least, we need about half of a teaspoon of salt. Have a little whisk here. I'm just going to whisk the marinade up in the base of this dish. Doesn't have to be perfectly combined, but I just like to get the lemon juice and oil a little more combined. You'll see it gets a little bit thicker. Now that that's in, we're just going to plop all of our tofu pieces in. I'm pretty sure they're gonna fit, but now I am questioning my container size. So let's see, going to fit. And I'm just gonna give it a few quick tosses. It's pretty leak proof, so it's very easy to flip upside down. Shake it around a few times so all the tofu gets nice and marinated. You wanna let this sit for at least 20 minutes, or if you're thinking ahead, you could also marinate this and store it in the fridge overnight, and then the tofu will be super flavorful. While this sits, I'm going to get our other veggies out. Actually, before I get started on the vegetables, I'm going to go ahead and cook my farro. Again, I'm gonna use the Instant Pot because it's just a lot easier. I've actually never cooked it in the Instant Pot before, but I found a recipe online. It said to do 1 cup of rinsed farro and then 2.5 cups of water or vegetable stock, which honestly seems high to me, but we're gonna see how it goes. It said to drain off the extra at the end. I much prefer to just cook my grains in the correct amount of water, but we'll see. I can adjust the recipe, you know, from here if it needs to be adjusted. I'm just gonna add a tiny pinch of salt. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper as well. So this is supposed to cook in the Instant Pot for 7 minutes, and then you're supposed to naturally let it release pressure for another 7 minutes before you release the valve. So I'm interested to see how well this cooks. I guess we'll learn together. For the veggie portion, we're using a mix of some of my favorite spring vegetables. We've got some radishes. Honestly, I feel like radishes are generally underused in the American diet. I don't really think to purchase them from the store super often. But whenever I do, I really like them. Like, I like them in salads, and today we're gonna be roasting them, which I really enjoy as well. But it's not something I really ate growing up. So for these, I'm just trimming the ends. And then I like to cut each radish in half. They're very crunchy now, but when you roast them, they're kind of like a potato, like a little more tender, not as creamy because they don't have as much starch in them, but they're still very, very good. We've also got a can of artichoke hearts. I went ahead and cut these in half. And then you're going to need about 1 pound or 1 bunch of asparagus. I like to just pop the end off. The tough part will usually break away from the stem. I've never grown asparagus in my own garden. I hear you have to plant it, and then it takes like 2 or 3 years before you even get stalks that are edible. But it does look really fascinating how it just grows up like stalks straight out of the ground. Honestly, it's kind of like alien-ish to me, if you ask me. It definitely does not look like the traditional garden plants. Maybe one day I'll grow it. I feel like it'd be cool, but I don't love the like multiple year time commitment before you get any at all. I just kind of wing cutting this. Let's say about like 1 inch-ish pieces. Don't want them too big, but I don't like them too small because I don't really like overcooked asparagus. You want it to be big enough where it's not going to cook faster than the radish. I'm going to slide this up. Before we season our veggies, I'm actually going to go ahead and get the tofu into the oven. This is going to cook for about 20 minutes before we add everything else, so the veggies don't get too overcooked and stay more crisp. So I'm just going to spread it across the whole sheet for now. That way it's going to crisp up faster and cook faster because there'll be more space between each piece. One of the great things about vegan cooking is that your marinades are multi-purpose. Like, you don't have to discard them because raw tofu isn't gonna make you sick. So I like to save the marinade. There's usually a little left over. You can drizzle on top of your bowls at the end, or drizzle on the tofu for like the second round of baking. I find it usually doesn't need that, so I like to save it to the end. I've preheated the oven to 415, so I'm going to put this in the top rack of the oven where it's gonna roast for 20 minutes by itself. I have my recipe off to the side here because I don't remember it, to be honest. First, we're gonna whisk our marinade, then add our veggies in and mix. For the veggies, you're going to need about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil, then half of a teaspoon of garlic powder, another half teaspoon of salt, and add some black pepper again. And then I like to thicken this marinade with some Dijon mustard. I just got that new bottle from Thrive. This one is like on its last legs, but I don't really want to waste it. So I think I can get, oh, that's like the perfect amount. I'm gonna use the same whisk that I did for the tofu. I'm just going to whisk this up. Now we're just going to add all our veggies in. So I've got my artichokes. This is drained and rinsed. I just put it back in the can for easy transport. We've got all of our radishes. And last but not least, we'll add in our asparagus. So now I can move my bowl up to this cutting board. I love how fresh and vibrant this looks. And I also really just love radishes because there aren't that many pink vegetables. So it adds a nice pop of pink color in recipes where you wouldn't normally expect it. Then I'm just gonna let this sit. Once the tofu is done cooking for that first 20 minutes, we're going to take it out of the oven and flip it and shift it to one side of the pan. Then we'll add our marinating veggies to the other side of the pan and roast this on the top rack of the oven again for another 15 to 20 minutes until the tofu is golden and crispy. I only ended up roasting mine for 15 minutes because I wanted the veggies to be nice and crisp, but if you like it a little more soft, you might want to do the full 20. And I did have to drain a lot of liquid from the farro. So honestly, I think next time I might just try to do like a 1-to-1 ratio, or maybe 1 to 1.5 cups, because 2.5 was definitely way too much. I'm waiting for my lovely, handsome husband to come join me, and then we're going to make our bowls together. We have roasted tofu with spring veggies and extra olive oil drizzle. And dang, I always forget how tall you are. I thought for sure it would cover the top of your head would be visible. It's fine, you can still see your eyes. It's just the top of your hair.
I'll do a wide stance.
Well, here's your bowl.
Thank you. Looks delicious. All right.
So we're going to watch the season finale of White Lotus, which I'm very interested to see.
Yeah, I'm ready. It's gonna be good.
I'm not sure
No
who's
spoilers.
gonna die.
No
well, we
spoilers,
haven't seen
Caitlin.
it, so we don't know.
Well, no spoilers. Well, maybe they aren't caught up.
That's fine. Okay, if you had to guess, who do you think is gonna die?
The dad, potentially, but I feel like that's too obvious.
Yeah.
Maybe Greg Gary.
That would be interesting. But then I wonder if there's gonna be any characters in season 4 after who like continue through.
I don't know.
I just really don't want Belinda or Amy Lou Wood, what's her character's name, Chelsea, to die. But I have this horrible feeling.
Dump the rest in?
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want any more? I have this horrible feeling in my heart that something's going to happen to Chelsea, and that would make me really sad because she's my favorite character on the show.
You know, oh, kombucha? I'll be back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want anything to happen to Chelsea or Belinda. I feel like, even though everyone's probably gotten equal screen time, I feel like the family has gotten more, or maybe just like they've had more kind of dramatic things happen to them. Kind of feel like the easy answer would be someone in that family is going to die, but at the same time, I feel like maybe it's a red herring, because I feel like there's always a red herring. Though I guess in season 2, it was like you thought someone was going to die, and then they survived that incident, but then they ended up dying anyways. So I think I'm just overthinking it. Right now, I feel like there's going to be something going on with the smoothie and fruit. Does asparagus make your pee smell?
Depends on how much I eat.
Really? If I eat 1/4 of a stalk of asparagus,
Stanky pee.
my pee smells. But I actually heard that apparently it makes everyone's pee smell, but only some people have the gene to smell it.
I've got all the genes related to asparagus pee.
I don't know. Maybe I have a super nose that can smell it instantly. Because I can smell it in other people too. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you can smell asparagus pee. But yeah, so we're gonna go watch that. Objectively, I thought it was well done. Like, it was very interesting. I think it's been my favorite season so far. Subjectively, I can't say anything without spoiling. So, to be honest, I've had a headache for most of today. So, that's also why I had a more chill day today. Hopefully I drink enough fluids where I don't have a headache tomorrow, but these bright lights aren't helping either. So we're gonna wrap up the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love sharing recipes with you, but sometimes I feel like my vlogs at home are maybe a little boring. I don't know. So if you have things that you like to see from me in these vlogs, the more like homebody at home vlogs, I would love to know in the comments below, because I want you guys to be having a good time too. Don't forget to go to thrivemarket.com/shoemaker that's all from me. Happy spring. I don't think I said that yet. I hope you're doing well and taking care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.